to Goat Talk Live.
I don't know. I get a little tired of hearing it, right?
The 99 is terrible. Here, I'm lacking for some reason. It's real white and flabby.
WTF. What are we doing?
Eddie, I tell everybody who'll listen that we're a really big deal.
Continues to grow and grow and grow.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Goat Talk Live here on ATYL Media, presented by SAVE22, SAVE22.vet. And post Memorial Day weekend, and what better than to bring both sides into the fray? We got Daniel Krakeel with us, finally making his appearance on Goat Talk. He's been wondering, when am I going to get on? He keeps throwing these little random messages to me while we're talking. Maybe one day when I'm on Goat Talk, I'll do this. Or maybe one day when I get to be on Goat Talk. And so finally, Daniel, the time has arrived. You're here with us. And thank you so much for joining us. I also got Jamie Barcus with us here tonight. Going to represent the Charlotte side of the Memorial Day Goat Locker Double, I guess is what we're going to call it. And so it's going to be a fun episode. Pat's going to be off tonight. He's been podcasting his butt off, and so we're gonna let him take the night off. Boys, how we doing?
Outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Ready to go.
Well, man, we got a lot to talk about. I got my Dick Trickle shirt on. I don't know if y'all. I'm representing. He got a little cigarette in his mouth here. Oh, there it is right there. So I'm representing for the summer series coming up. We got a lot of stuff going on. Of course, May is Mental Health Month. Just the end of May, so we want to shout that out as that's something very important to Goat Locker. So we're really happy to always be talking about that. Not happy, I guess. I don't know. Let me move on. But want to thank SAVE22 again. If you're not subscribed to SAVE22's YouTube channel, at SAVE22vet is the link. And if you are, that's great. If you know somebody who's not, send them a message going, why not? Why aren't you? And make sure that they are supporting those guys. I wore their hat around the airport, wore it around my hometown here lately, telling everybody about SAVE22, Goat Locker, telling them the whole story. And you know what? The reason why is because there's a story to tell, because Goat Locker has become something that I can't believe. And it's all the hard work that folks have been putting in. And all that has kind of come to a head with the double this weekend, which is sort of the conversation for tonight, as we kind of break all this stuff down. We had two groups that went to one group went to Indy, and I believe that was you, Daniel, Jacob Ellingson. I know Warren was there. I think it's because he has to be. Devin was also there, I do believe. And who else was there, Daniel?
Oh, well, you had Tim Jones joined with me. He
That's
was
right.
He was the other recipient of the ticket. But let's see, you had Tim Jones. We had Jake there. I know Mike Browning, Regis Clark, I think they rented a detached garage. When I walked by it, going back to the car to leave, there wasn't even a house anywhere near it. But they had a prime spot. I think they had two food trucks literally at the corner. They walked down, get food, go back and sit and chill out and relax. So I think they had it pretty nice. It sounded like they had fun, partake quite a bit in the drinks over the weekend. So it was good to get a chance to meet Regis from there. But no, we had a good time. I think I heard maybe Frog was there, Brian Frauheimer. I think he was there. I didn't get a chance to meet with him, but no, it was great. Got a chance to talk with Warren. I got to shake his hand, meet him when he was in St. Louis with Indy last year. So it was good time to get a little bit more of his time, and we were fortunately able to get in there at the right moment. We even got a little leftover breakfast, and that was much appreciated because it definitely saved $20-25 being spent trying to get something to eat at 7-8 o'clock in the morning, whatever time was there. But I can't, and we can get into it later, but like Jamie was saying before, they had a lot of fun. And I know we all did too. And I've been to sporting events. I've been to Atlanta Motor Speedway with 125,000 people. And I've worked at theme parks that have put that number in as well. But it is something that's just absolutely amazing. The massive size of this, and we still didn't even see a third of the track, and we walked 8+ miles that day, on top of driving the 300 into Indy. We left about 1 o'clock Eastern, midnight our time, to get there to take it in, and it was a blast. But I'll definitely get into more, just with how the town of Speedway and Indianapolis as a whole, that opened my eyes beyond what I already knew, of the great event.
Yeah, yeah, and just to kind of start this off the right way, a lot of this wouldn't be possible without out Goat Locker and their partners. And one of the guys who was kind of heading all this up, making a lot of this happen. Of course, Jamie is right down here, but Pat, who the Indy 500 tickets came from a neighbor of his, I do believe, somebody who lives around him that got those Indy 500 tickets that they didn't need them and donated them to Goat Locker, and so. And then Pat set up a lot of this deal. I think NASCAR Tom, as we call it. What was his nickname? Slippy? Is that what is that? Was that what it was? Slippy, Jamie.
Yeah.
I think I lost Jamie.
Slippy Tom, with.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right. Jamie said "uh-oh," and he has bounced out. Here we go. He's back.
All right. I don't know what was going on there.
But Pat putting a lot of that stuff together, man, cannot thank him and everybody involved. Tom over there at BSI, Broadcast Sports Incorporated. Really cool to get to look behind the scenes, and without him, we wouldn't have been able to be on pit road and get that inside look. So a lot of people to thank. Pat was sort of the ringleader in a lot of that stuff, and so we definitely want to thank him for allowing all that to get going. He researched the house for the Coca-Cola 600 trip, and so hate that he's not here to thank him in person, but definitely a big shout out to him for that. But let's jump into it. The Indy 500, we'll start there. And because on the Coca-Cola side, I can speak for Jamie and say that was one of the best trips I've had in a long, long time. The whole thing in general, of course, the Coca-Cola 600 delivers on Memorial Day. Can't beat it. The house definitely delivered in a lot of ways, and you know what? It's the gift that keeps on giving, Jamie.
It does. It continues. And here we are Thursday. We've been gone 4 days from there, and man, the gifts just keep coming.
Well, I want to know more about the Indy 500. So Daniel, I'm kind of give you a little bit of spotlight here to ask you a couple questions about it, and we'll kind of make this not really an interview. We'll just make it sort of a conversation. And the Indy 500, obviously it is the biggest race in North America, probably on this side of the globe. When it comes to a singular race, Indy 500 is as big as it gets. Did you feel that when you were there? Did y'all kind of get that feeling?
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get all together just like the Charlotte guys were. But Jake and Tim and I, we got to barbecue a little bit there afterwards. Thank you, Jake. That brought was excellent and well worth the wait for it. Well worth the 1.5 mile walk to get there. But no, like I said, and like everybody knows, the Indy 500 is the single greatest thing. It doesn't matter what type of motorsports that you're interested in. It is the premier event, and Indy definitely showed out. And like I said, I got there at about 5:30. The parking lots opened at 5. Everybody was threatening, the roads are going to close at a certain time, so you had to get there. Well, EMS, I'm a planner, especially when I'm going somewhere I don't know where I'm going. So we made sure we were there. We were like the 4th car in the lot. We had excellent premier parking. I appreciate everybody that was involved in getting us there. I appreciate Tim and Sarah, his wife, walking a little further so that my daughter and I could have the little bit better spot, because we were literally 1,000 feet from our seats, and that's amazing given the size of this facility. We were the 4th car in, and coming in, it was, everybody was starting to wake up. And then what took me by surprise is we're in line, gates open at 6 o'clock. Well, I had no clue. I had not aside from Disney playing a little jingle at the opening of a park, I had no clue what Indy does and IMS does. But they decide they want to fire off a cannon at 6 o'clock in the morning and then have a massive production of fireworks show. The folks here at Gateway and Worldwide Technology, they like to throw fireworks and fire bombs up the backstretch on the final pace lap, getting ready to go green, and it's scare all the drivers, especially the new ones. But to hear it, because you didn't get to see it. We were behind the grandstands, just a few, 100 yards or so from the start finish line. So we didn't get to see it, but we got to hear it. And then, of course, they welcomed us in, and we got to go in. And fortunately, my daughter and I, we immediately started walking, going through, taking in the sights. I got some photos. I don't know if I sent it to you or not. Got some decent shots of the sunrise coming up in over the pagoda, or at least sunrise in the background of the pagoda, and getting to see that. There's a few other shots I didn't send over to you, just wasn't as great of quality, but got to go around there and just kind of see get to see the sunrise with the stadium. Yep, there's Jake and Tim. They're trying to sit here and play some hockey and push me over the grill there.
I was gonna say you got a real wide stance.
I got a wide stance because they kept backing me up, and there's a grill, and I at that point I wasn't sure quite how hot it was, and I didn't need my buns roasted. It was cold. It was fourth coldest Indy 500 on record, which was great because that sweatshirt came in real handy. So again, thanks to Pat for getting that. But again, there's the sunrise over the pagoda, and that's sitting down from our seats. Our seats were a little bit further up into the covering, but it was quite a sight. Everybody showed the photos. I think y'all had it at Charlotte with the Blackhawks and all that. To see the Blackhawk, or at least the skid plate of the Blackhawks coming up under that overhang, being that low off the ground. Again, I work with flight teams, so I'm used to being around aircraft, and we have some military aircraft coming in and out of St. Louis with Boeing here. So I'm used to seeing that, but that definitely was really, really cool to be able to see and get to experience from there. And again, the seats, like Pat said, like you've said, Jamie said, they were awesome. They definitely were premier. Protected us from the weather. I know Mike and them had a little bit of rain in turn 4. We were dry on the front stretch. I don't know why we had that 30 lap caution for rain. I think we were just messing with Larson a little bit, just seeing how good he was. But it was good. Larson's pit was right, not too far from us. We were right across from Nolan Siegel's pit. So we got to watch that quite a bit. And like I said, Warren definitely treated us like royalty, just like he has always done with everyone he's met. I was glad to see a lot of the guys got to meet with him. But the race, once we got it going, it was awesome. But even with that, it was exciting just to see what all was going on. Who would have thought McLaughlin spin out on a pace lap? And just some of the, we had some other lockups. You had your pole sitter Schwartzman take out his crew. I don't know if he was bowling or what he was doing. Rear brakes failed apparently, and I think everybody was all right. We had a fire. I really got to see the AMR safety team jump in, go to action. Kind of wanted to be right down there with them, running and helping, and doing what I know to do. So it was a little hard sitting back and just watching the action, not being able to go jump in. I always love doing the wee woos, and we definitely could have went over to Memorial real quick, but no, we had a blast. By the time we got done tailgating, got back to the car, we were the last one in the lot. All the roads were open back up. Everybody complaining about the 2-hour trip to get out of there to get to the interstate. I had no clue what it was. I was at my hotel in 5 minutes, stayed in Avon. nice little area, all the food in the world. Definitely know where I'm going to go eat. Definitely know where I'm going to stay next time that we're back in town, because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I might not get that kind of seating or experience, but we're definitely going back. Even just seeing people bring the lawn chairs and sitting in the infield watching everything on the backside of the pagoda. I knew there was general admission and people would sit in the turns here and there. I had no clue the amount of people that would go to buy whatever the price of that general admission ticket was just to sit in the lawn and watch it on TV.
Yeah.
But to be there was amazing.
Well, the Coke 600 had a really awesome, pre-race show. But the question I asked you was, did you feel the fact that it was the Indy 500 when you're going
Yes.
through the beginning of the race? What was that like? I've never been to the Indy 500, so I don't know. What's it like to go through all of the pre-race stuff? Do you feel like did it give you chill bumps? Is it kind of too much, or you just kind of like do you feel it and be like, wow, this is this is one of the most legendary races in history of racing?
Yeah, no, wasn't too much, surprisingly. And again, for what I do within EMS, for what I've done with uh, my other background in the theme parks and whatnot, usually I'm not great with big crowds. I'm usually uh, overstimulated from there, and I'm always worrying about what's going on, where's my egress, that type of deal. I actually had none of that. It was excellent. A lot of what you saw at like Charlotte, we had as well. We had 200 something military members marching down the front stretch, coming into formation. For the colors. We had all that. We had the Blackhawks going around. If there was something else up in the sky, I'm not sure. I know they had the Blackhawks going around to have all that. The detail of what they were doing with the military and the first responders as well. It is truly something special. We got to see the Borg Warner take its march through. They had their bagpipe band, big old marching band. You had the Purdue marching band there. So they had a nice, 2-3 mile parade through the facility to go there. But no, it definitely took away, or it took everything I've ever seen at any of the Atlanta races, spring or in the fall, the championship races when they were at Atlanta. It took all that and just amplified it, to what you would expect. And, like I said, it is the greatest spectacle. I love NASCAR. I grew up NASCAR, lived a mile south of the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Um, so that's what it was. But no, this by far, I can't even picture the Coke 600 doing that for me. I can't picture any F1 event doing that. I don't know what their attendance figures are like, but I have a hard time believing that they're going to have the reception they have and the town supporting the track. You do that kind of stuff in Atlanta, the fireworks at 6 a.m., even though we're in the rural area, you're going to have complaints. I'm willing to bet you every single one that lives in Speedway and surrounding that track loves it. I've never seen the amount of, people and the, just at their house barbecuing, offering up food. Some were selling food. I've never seen so many porta johns in a 2-mile walk that they were selling time at. So you had no bathroom problems whatsoever. Charlotte, I'm sure we would just go out to a tree line. I know out in some of the parking lots, they would just go to the tree line. No, Speedway, every other house has got a porta john sitting there for you to use. And yes, Pat, thank you for the hat. Thank you for the shirt. We finally have some papaya. I know Regis gave me and my daughter a hard time because she is a big Willpower fan. About 8 years ago when we went to our first Indy race here in St. Louis, the company I was working for, they did a little name draw out of the hat, and her and I picked the last 2 names out of the hat, and the winner got like $100 or whatever it was. Well, she pulled Willpower, I pulled Takuma Sato, and Will Power goes on and wins the race. About a month later, boss finally pays up. Had trouble paying a 10-year-old, $100 out of his out of his pocket. But yeah, very, again, appreciate everything from there. So
Yeah. Well, it does sound awesome. Now the race itself was it enjoyable to watch? I don't watch too many. We didn't really get a chance to watch the race at all. So,
yeah.
I mean, I know Larson was sort of a lot of the talk of the NASCAR world. But what was the race like? When just being a viewer there, were you able to really soak it in? Were you missing information?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, obviously with most any tracks, and I think it's there at Charlotte as well, or we at least had it at Atlanta, you've got the track announcer, and they give you about as much info as they can. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. I was going to try to actually listen to the broadcast while the race was going on, and technology just wasn't having it from there. But, at the start of it, when we're looking and we could see turn 4 to turn 1, and that's all you get to see, and we get to see the cars come by 200 times, it's not a whole lot that you're actually getting to see. But I got to hand it to them. Indy put 33 cars on that track, and once they finally got going without all the rain, they actually lined them back up. They had started the race. They went their pace laps. They waved off the green flag. They put them under another 2 or 3 pace laps. But when they were ready to go again, even though they had started, they lined them back up and did the 3 wide grid all the way back and let them run for it. And then of course the chaos ensued from there. But no, I mean, we saw 3, 4, 5 wide going down that front stretch all the way through the race. Going back listening to a lot of the podcasts that I listened to, everybody was talking about it. All the NASCAR podcasts were talking about it this week. All the IndyCar obviously was talking about it. But I mean, we were having 4 or 5 wide racing throughout the entire race. And usually they'll get single filed out, run until you get to the last pit cycle. Then the chaos would come in. No, this was the only thing we were missing was Tony Kanaan cutting the grass in the short shoot. That was the only thing we needed TK out there. Thought he was going to have to jump in there for a moment. I know he had a fire suit on. Warren was keeping us abreast of what was going on behind the scenes, as he always does, week in, week out, and that's always an excellent. It's always nice to see that kind of stuff, to be able to share and go from there. But no, the race was excellent. We were thoroughly thrilled. Last 100 laps went by very quickly. Had no clue, didn't care about the time. Didn't care that we'd been up since midnight. Didn't care that we may be traveling back to St. Louis immediately after the race. We did get a few hours of sleep in before we got back. But no, it was great. It was the best race. It's hard to say it was the best race I've seen, and one of the few that I've seen in its entirety. A lot of times I would go to Atlanta and see the first 5 laps and the last 5 laps. But I've been in Atlanta when Gordon won championships. I've been there when Harvick won for the first time after taking over the 3, or taking over and going into 29. So I was there. I'd been there for some of the closest finishes in racing. I was there when Indy actually raced. I think Indy raced 2 years in Atlanta. And got to see, and I can't remember who it was or what the year was, but got to see a really horrific crash there as well. So getting to see some of the ones that we did see, and glad everybody walked away from it from there. But no, it was a blast. My daughter had absolute blast. We haven't stopped talking about it. It's something we won't stop talking about for a very long time.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to go to an Indy 500 one of these days, but it just seems like that's a lot of people, and it probably costs a lot of money to go to a place like that. So
it's a lot of people, but they do their crowd management top notch. They moved you again. I was there real early and I left real late, so I didn't wait in 2-hour long lines to get into the gate. but the amount of detail they've put into it far exceeds any strategic planning that I've ever been a part of. And I've been a part of that for some very large companies to manage very large crowds and security situations. So they do it right. I would say definitely don't let the crowd affect you. Get up there, have fun. Get you a decent hotel, even a little ways out, get you a decent hotel and, go and enjoy the day. And again, even if you got to walk around Speedway, you go in and join any of their tailgates. I was not scared at all for safety walking around the town of Speedway. Couldn't get the maps going. Jake sent us a ping out in the middle of a freaking field that we had to try to, I was trying to use satellite maps to figure out where he was at. Thank God we had the excellent goat locker gear, because that's the only way we could spot each other. And I can't tell you the joy that I saw on their faces, the joy that was on my face, my daughter's face, every time we spotted a goat locker shirt or sweatshirt in the crowd, because and again, there was quite a few of us, so it was beautiful to see that. Real fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, did you get any souvenirs? Buy anything cool that you brought back with you?
Yeah, so actually, I also grew up in retail. I spent 20 years in the retail industry. So first thing we did was walk into the very first souvenir store that we did, and looked in the case that they had no intention to spend any money whatsoever, but looked in the case, and I saw this flag stand sitting in the bottom of the case. Well, that looks like just a display piece, but it had a $20 little sticker sitting down below it. And I said, well, is that $20? Guys are there, they're raising money for their church or whatever. They have no clue. They didn't set it up or anything. So they're looking, they try to look through all their cheat sheets and all this, couldn't find anything. So figured it was a fluke. They pulled the $20 sticker and went about our business. Go to leave, actually found them hanging on the wall in the bag, had a $20 price tag on it. So went back. I had to get it. It was awesome. To kind of have the flag stand, from there, Mountain Dew with the cooling towels. Obviously we didn't have to use them. We really needed warming towels. The amount of goosebumps I had to look at Tim Jones' legs, and poor Sarah was trying to keep him warm. Forget Tim trying to keep Sarah warm. Sarah had to keep Tim warm. But it was.
But nobody checked the weather report before y'all went.
I was fine. I had mine. I was good. My daughter was still cold, even with all hers on. But maybe she hadn't been wearing the cheaters' clothes. Maybe she'd been a little warmer. Who knows? I think the McLaren apparel would have been much warmer. But but no, it was really good. We had a blast. Like I said, unfortunately, Jake had some hotel issues, but I think he found some place to sleep for the night. And,
Wait, so what happened with Jake? I don't know this.
Oh, you didn't hear that? You didn't see that? Yeah, he was nice and warm. No, Jake apparently got there Saturday afternoon or whatever, and I don't remember what I was doing. I was at work or getting ready, and he apparently got to a hotel and they double booked him. He didn't have a hotel room. So I know he had to scramble there. I think they set him up, but I think it was like 20, 30 minutes in the opposite direction. So Christy had a little further to drive. Not Jake. Christy had a little farther to drive,
What time was this going down?
Jake would have to put it in chat there. I won't say it was like 7 o'clock 6, 7 in the afternoon, evening.
And that right there is the problem, because Jake's in bed by 7 o'clock.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I was trying to go to sleep. I had to mute all the Discords. I was trying to go to sleep, trying to reverse my clock, because I'm a morning person. I'm a daytime person. I've got to, driving at night usually is not a good thing for me. but we definitely made it work. But yeah, he had a little trouble. I don't know why he didn't just go crash with Regis and whatnot. I'm sure Chrissy maybe had a little something to do with that as well. But you know, it was great again to get to see him, you know, and all that, and talk to him day in, day out. I talked to Tim day in, day out, but to get to speak with him, and you know, first time I met him, you know, in person and whatnot, but it was just like family. It was just like going home to a family reunion of some nature, you know, and that's what hits me, and that's what Goat Locker brings. That's what I get out of Goat Lockers. Why I joined is why I came back, like, you know, at the end of last summer. You know, why I won't go anywhere else. You know, beyond all the nice and fun stuff we've done so far, just the community, you know, my teammates, all my teammates with SAVE22. And, you know, you mentioned SAVE22, and of course we got to shout out John Moser and all that. They hit 10,000 followers this week. I think I put a challenge out there. I challenge everybody watching the broadcast, go and like SAVE22. Let's get them to 20,000. There's no reason they can't be at 20,000 followers by this Tuesday talk. But I would love to see that as well.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. You know, and it's tough to get people. I mean, everybody's got their own reasons for doing things, but it's you know, these type of events really help kind of move it past just racing against each other in a league. You know, we've been doing that forever. You meet somebody, you get to talk with them, hang out with them, laugh with them. It kind of reinforces the whole reason why Goat Locker exists is not just a race. You know, we're not just a racing league. It's not really even what we are anymore. And you know, when you get to meet somebody, talk to them, you've been talking to them in Discord, but sit there with them at a table, drink a cold beverage with them or something like that, it definitely changes, you know, the whole scope of what this is all about. And so, yeah, it's really cool when you finally get to meet somebody, a friend that you've got on the internet. You know, the internet's a place for a lot of really bad things, but I'd say stuff like this is one of the best things about the internet, being able to meet people that are like-minded. You know, back, you know, 200 years ago, you just had to like what everybody else liked. You know, you're like, I guess I like milking cows, so we're going to do it. You know, I didn't want to eat this bobcat, but y'all are all into the bobcat eating stuff, so I like, you know, and then the internet came out, and you're like, okay, well, I can like what I want to like and find people like that. So it's cool to me because, you know, I've got a lot of NASCAR fans, but sim racing fans, hard to find. It's hard to find a group of folks that like to sim race. And so when you get together, you know, unfortunately, when you get Jeremy Garner and Brandon Evans together, they just want to yak each other off and watch a championship race and brag about the wins they have. But no, it was a lot of fun. Charlotte was a blast. You know, we had quite a few guys. You had Jacob Linke, you had me, Jamie, Brandon Evans, Jeremy Garner, you had Jamie Mullins, Chase, Jamie's son. We had Skylar Daly, and gosh, I'm terrified that I'm forgetting somebody, but I don't think I am. Am I?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't think I missed anybody. Hopefully that's not the case. Even Howie DeSavino made.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Howie made an appearance.
Yeah, he made an appearance. Oh, Alex Cruz.
Alex.
Yeah, Alex Cruz. He came hang out with us the next morning
and got us a choice parking spot.
Yeah, I mean he was holding my hand while I was trying not to throw up as well, so that was really nice of him. Yeah, well, you know, we stood in line and ate the I ate 2 cheeseburgers from this place, and we were kind of hungry. There's really not much to eat at Charlotte other than just like fair food, and I got a couple cheeseburgers, and that whole next hour I was sick as a dog. And everybody kind of scattered doing some activations and stuff that was out there, and me and Alex just kind of stood there and chatted for a while, so it was good to get to know him in that moment. Wish it was under better circumstances, but I was biting my tongue near off trying not to get sick. So I don't suggest the hamburgers at Charlotte. Not gonna give you any kind of endorsement.
I will say I kind of felt like the fan zone whole situation at Charlotte was kind of lacking considering how big that race is. You know, Bristol blows it away. by a mile. But yeah, so the lack of food options was kind of surprising, and
Yeah,
it didn't get any better in the track either.
Yeah, I get it. This is sponsor stuff. Sponsors that go up here and make you jump through hoops to make sure that you don't forget their brand and stuff. A couple guys went and shot a bow and arrow for some dip. I think Skylar Daly actually won some pit
He did.
vipers.
He
Yeah,
did.
it's I think Jamie Mullins, he won a mullet, so he's Jamie Mullet now.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's some fun events. We got to see who it was Ross Chastain, the winner, the eventual winner, was up there
Mhm.
chatting while we were sitting there watching. So yeah, I definitely think there could be a couple more eating options.
Yes.
Well, talking about the fan experience, I got a question for you guys. Did y'all do any of the simulators? Did the vendors have simulators there?
No, I think we all
No,
looked
they were-
at them. We all kind of stood there. It was like one of those things we walked up and we looked at them. And yeah, I don't. This is I don't even know if y'all watch Marvel movies, but there's there's a part in one of the Iron Man movies where War Machine, Terrence, what's his name?
Howard.
Terrence Howard was
Mhm.
playing War Machine at the time, and he walked up and he saw the Iron Man suit, and he was like, maybe next time. And I think that's the way we walked up, we saw all the simulators, we looked at them, we said, nah.
Well, and there was nothing impressive about them. I mean, it was like
they're
single
G29.
monitors with a wheel strapped to the
Well, that's
platform thing. I'm like,
yeah. That's why I was asking, because there were several at Indy as well, and my daughter and I, we were standing in line, and I think it was to get picture with the winning Wienermobile, because
Hell yeah.
Indy does it so well. They take all 6 Wienermobiles, bring them in, and put them on the racetrack and ran a race with them. So they still had the winning Wienermobile there. We were in line, but we were hearing a couple people talk about, oh well, they've got the FOV, the field of view on these simulators. They're so jacked up and
oh
this
my
and
God.
that. It was breaking it down, little bit by little bit. And I went over and we went through the Firehawk exhibit or whatever and hopped on theirs real quick. Just looking. Of course, like I said, field of view is all messed up, but I'm sitting there, 200 something pound. I'm sitting there, and I feel like I'm in a little bitty go-kart. They've got the pedals so far up, and got all the cheat codes on there. And of course, none of us could drive it anyway with all the cheat codes and all this and that as well. We all pulled a New Garden and spun it out in turn 1. But yeah, I just saw that, and I've heard stuff through other races, but that one was definitely took the cake of everywhere we went within our fan zone. I was hearing someone talk about iRacing and the simulators that were here, and and back and forth. I did hear a rumor that Era McLaren has some really nice ones in their sponsor hospitality. Warren couldn't quite get us into that one yet, but we got to work on that for the next time and have a GLR 500 there at Indy.
Yeah. Well, Pat was nice enough to put us up in a very memorable Airbnb situation. You know, he's already made the comment in chat that it was free, and I don't know if it was free. I feel like we paid for it in some way, Jamie. I don't know.
I paid for it in blood. Yeah, so I don't know how free it was, but
we're currently hexed.
Yes.
If you want to know the story, I'll go ahead and tell you the story. We stayed in a cabin. You can hear my dog barking in the background, but we stayed in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Really, it was a little bit northeast of Concord, probably 35 minutes away from the track, and so it was a nice cabin. Had a bunch of beds and really nice, looking cabin. And I really didn't pay attention to it when we got there. I really, you guys were telling us about the lady that ran the joint, and just kind of I thought y'all were making jokes about guys sleeping in hammocks and stuff around the property, but we had noticed people had looked it up on the. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to I don't know. I don't know if it's a good idea to show you can look it up maybe, but It was called. What was the little crop circle looking thing? What was that
the
called?
Labyrinth.
Is that the Labyrinth? Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the Labyrinth.
We saw the Labyrinth on the realtor and the street view or the satellite imagery, and so we saw that kind of stuff, and so just didn't put two and two together. And so later that night, we would all hang around there and watching some things on TV and just sitting around getting to know each other, talking and stuff. And Howie DeSavino, our pizza delivery driver, brought us some pizzas, and we were chit chatting for a little bit, and we got out on the front porch, and we said, we kind of wanted to go explore the area. The lady said we could, said we could go and check out anything we wanted to, and build a bonfire or whatever. And so, me and Jeremy kind of led the charge. He was heading on, and I said, yeah, let's go. I want to go see this thing. And so we're going down this path. There's a lit path to go through a little bit of thing called yurts. I don't know what that is. I still don't know what it is. I'm going to assume I don't know. Yurts could be anything to me. I have no idea. They're just buildings. And so we were walking these little paths, and Jeremy's in front of me, and we got everybody just kind of walking behind us in a line. Couldn't really spread out. And it's completely dark. It might have been just a little bit of light to be able to kind of see, but with any kind of lights on the ground, it was basically completely dark. Just a little bit of visible light, maybe moonlight. And so we walk in the woods from the cabin, and we're walking out into this clearing where we think the labyrinth is. And as soon as we walk out, I see what could have, the way I can describe it in my brain, and I'll never forget it, was about 15 people. I couldn't tell if they were women, they're men, children, old people, young people. I had no idea. But 15 people who immediately, as soon as we cleared the tree line, started walking towards us in a very long line, not together in a huddle. Mm-hmm. They were spread out like this, and they were walking towards us. And I stopped in my tracks, and fight or flight hit me. Adrenaline started going. I'm like, all right, what am I looking at here? And then a voice piped up out of the darkness. And I mean, completely dark. There's no lights out there where they are. They're just standing out there in the dark. 15 or so people dressed like, I don't know, they're in the 1800s or something. I don't know.
They were all wearing white, and it was kind of like some robe things.
Yeah.
They didn't have hats on. I think it was all women. It was not KKK stuff. People keep bringing that up. It was not.
I don't think it was that either. But out of the darkness, a voice said, "We're having a ceremony," and I just I did the whitest thing possible that I could think of. I said in chat, the other day, I said, when in doubt, be as white as possible. When in danger, try to be as white as you possibly can. So I did the whitest thing that I could do in that moment, and I said, "Oh, okay, sorry, we'll turn around." And I just completely about faced and turned around, and I said, I'm going to use my F word now. I said, "Get the fuck on. Move the fuck out of the way." And whoever it was, I don't remember who it was behind me, but I said, go, get the fuck out of here. Turn around. And, Brandon Evans at the very back, he's like, what happened? And I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Just freaking go. And we about faced and took off. I don't know what it was. We didn't go back and find out, but that was a wild thing that I still don't know what it is. From what we could gather, we were hexed of some kind. We walked into some portal that we weren't supposed to, and now we are marked because we've all had bad things happen to us after the fact. Jamie fell down the final stair of the staircase on his way out.
Yep.
So I don't know how y'all feel about that stuff, but we walked into something. Our thought was that Pat set us up. Pat, I thought we were going to get killed. Pat had paid everybody to kill each other, kind of like in the Dark Knight, and we didn't know what was going to happen. So we started noticing all of the things around the place. All of the we looked it up online. It was some sort of grove. The lady was the goddess of the grove. So we were in it.
We were in it. And to steal Gardner's line, Pat wasn't having gut issues. Pat followed his gut and didn't come.
He had one conversation with the goddess of the grove, and he said, I think I'm going to let them guys have it.
But in all seriousness, she was really as sweet as she could be.
Yeah.
Her and her dog.
Yeah, Murphy is his name, by the way.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, a great time. I mean, honestly, renting a cabin when you go to a race with a bunch of guys is honestly the best thing you could do. It's a lot of fun. We get in there and chat, late night talks, and just have a bunch of laughs. And of course, you know, we joked that was probably just some sort of hippie thing. Honestly, that was
Yes.
a women empowerment thing, or a corporate retreat or something that they do. Some sort of just normal thing. But in the moment, yeah, I told Jamie, I said, you could have warned us. You could have just been like, hey, there might be a ceremony you walk into, so just be
Well,
careful.
there wasn't that many people that was out there when we walked through there earlier.
Yeah.
Right? There was couple people here and there, and it was mostly guys. There was one guy that was meditating in the doorway of his yurt that was right across from us. I thought that was kind of weird because, I don't know, if I was going to meditate, I probably wouldn't want to do it where people were watching me, but he had no issues right where we're at, just right in front of us. He's sitting there meditating. Kind of weird, but I don't know. I don't do that kind of stuff, so I don't. Maybe that's normal.
Well, Pat said that she knew who we were. So the fact that you would invite a bunch of just meathead fucking NASCAR fans, 8 of them, to your sacred grove of serenity. I can't believe it. And maybe at least warn us about what's going on, because we're not going to understand it. It's just we don't. That's not our thing. And so,
yeah, she definitely could have given us a heads up that maybe we should just stay put at night or whatever, and not,
Yeah. Maybe don't go. There's going to be something going on. I don't know. But it made for a fun time. We honestly, we had a lot of laughs about that. That was so much fun. But yeah, so we had a great time there, and then we got up and went to the race. And boy, I tell you what.
Well, you're skipping a major event that did occur.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead.
Well, so after we struck out with going to the labyrinth, which was a big disappointment because everybody was stoked to see the labyrinth, Gardner goes out there and starts a fire. The lady told us, hey, go over there, use that fire pit, make as big a bonfire as you want to. And so Gardner went over there, started a fire, got one going. So we all migrated over to the fire pit. We're hanging around the fire, and Jacob Link, he steps in. It's kind of burning down a little bit. He steps in to move some wood around, stoke it a little bit. And he hears something squeak. Sounds like a dog's chew toy or something. And so everybody starts looking around. They've got the flashlights on their phones, looking on the ground. All right, why is there a squeak toy in the fire? And he sees something laying there. It looked black. It just looked like a black little rectangle thing to me. And he steps on it again, and it squeaks again. And come to find out, there was a whole, I don't know what you call baby rabbits or litter or whatever they are, but there was 5 baby rabbits. That nest was directly under this bonfire that we were out there burning. So, so we dug out 5 rabbits and put them in a box. Howie DiSavino took them home. I guess he said anything with nipples can milk it. And he sent us videos, and he was milking these, giving milk to these rabbits at midnight. Have not heard whether the rabbits are still alive or not. Don't know. The mama rabbit was gone, and quite honestly, I figured that once we handled them, she wasn't going to come back and mess with them. So hopefully they're still kicking.
I think that was our test. I think that was, we got hexed, and then it was like, okay, are you going to let the rabbits burn, or are you going to save them? And I think while we had a couple of incidents after the fact, I think saving the rabbits is why we're still alive today. So I think we passed our big test.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would think that would have been worth not me falling down the stairs and you coming home to a flooding situation and, all the other stuff. We did save the rabbits. I think we proved we were good people, and we deserved to be there.
I think so.
I think
maybe that's why they left us alone after the fact.
Yeah. Could have been. We did wake up the next morning, so I thought that was a plus.
Yeah, I slept good. I slept real good. So I think I even slept so good you heard how good I was sleeping.
Well, yes, I did.
But yeah, so thanks to Pat for a memorable sleeping arrangement. A hotel would have been real boring, I think. And so it was a lot of fun. Really cool to just sit out on the front porch, talk about stuff. Get to know everybody, and just awesome. And then we get to the race, and can't thank NASCAR Tom enough for what he did. As far as he didn't really plan for us to. I mean, they had a big thing going on. They had Prime, the first race of the season. Coca-Cola 600 is a huge deal, and so it was a big, undertaking. They were trying to make sure they were on point. Prime was trying to be on point. A lot of pressure there, and I can't thank Tom enough for taking the time like he did. I don't think he expected to give us any kind of tour like that. But I think he changed his mind at one point and just said, you know what, come on in here. And so we went down to the infield, walked in, found him, and honestly, extremely gracious with his time, like maybe a little bit overly gracious than I was expecting. Broke down every single thing. And honestly, you guys talk about Fox, NBC, Prime, and all this. BSI makes this stuff happen.
Yes.
That's what we found out. BSI is the reason why you watch anything on TV that's live sports, and that's actually true. I would say, based on what he was talking about, 70-80% of the whole thing is BSI and what they're doing. They're the muscles that are making it go. It's just so cool to sit there, and he showed us the cameras, how they connect, talked about how they he's actually I think he called himself the RF supervisor. So he is in control of making sure all those wireless signals get where they need to go when they're supposed to get there. And honestly, I just didn't know the team that it takes to make all this stuff happen. They've got, like, I think it was 250 people or something like that they have, or just the whole team in general is that many folks of people doing all kinds of various jobs, running cables, getting everything ready. They get there on Monday. And usually he said they get there on Wednesday to most tracks and get all that stuff set up for the race and get that stuff going. So, man, it was so cool. I mean, he broke down everything. He didn't leave anything for us to wonder, what is that thing? He showed us everything on there. Showed us all the cameras, all their technology, the batteries. Took us in the truck. Showed us what all this stuff is for. The cameras they put on the cars. He talked about how the crew chiefs will actually, shave the cameras down a little bit to gain a little extra speed at Talladega, and how they choose to do certain things. It was really incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamie, excuse me, you actually got to we all got to meet Trevor Bayne. We're standing there.
Yep.
He's telling us about stuff. We're standing outside the trailer. Todd Bodine actually walked in the trailer while we were in there. Which was pretty cool. Jamie tried to give him a goat locker hat. He didn't want that.
No, he didn't want the goat locker hat.
Yeah.
And I still contend that Jeff's always been better. So, I think Eddie's used up the F-bombs already, so I won't say what I want to say. So he was a nice guy. I mean, he said hello to everybody and stuff.
He said, "What are y'all, interns?"
Yeah.
So, it was cool to meet him. And then, to me, one of the highlight of the trips, we were outside, and Trevor Bayne, who's actually on Prime, he's one of the sort of the pit road reporters now for Prime, Trevor Bayne, and he kind of walked up, was asking Tom about some stuff he had for his equipment, and it just said, "Hey, what is it? What's all this? Who are y'all?" And we got to sit there and talk with him, and man, super nice, super gracious with his time. He's got a lot going on. A couple hours for maybe probably one of the biggest events that they'll do, the first one, and he gave us 5-10 minutes of talking about stuff and telling us a little bit about the Daytona 500 he won. And Jamie, you got a little souvenir out of it.
Yep. So I've got my race bag. It's just a clear bag that I, have my stuff in when I go to a race, just because I don't have to deal with security and all that stuff. And I have the ticket. I was at the 2011 Daytona 500, and that ticket is always just sat in my bag. It's sitting in the Smokes credential holder. As the last time I got to see Tony race live. I didn't really keep it for any sentimental thing, really. That's just why it was in there. And so when Trevor Bayne, honestly, I guess I probably should say, I wasn't sure who he was, because he still looks like he's about 12, right?
Yeah.
The guy's like 35 now, and he looks very, very young. So I wasn't exactly sure. And I think it was Gardner to say, "Oh, well, it's Trevor Bayne." So I walked up to him. I showed him the bag because it's clear and it's got the ticket. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "does this date mean anything to you?" And he saw that ticket, and he was floored. Kind of look on his face. You could tell it meant a lot to him to see that ticket. Now, on my end, y'all are all frozen. Oh, okay.
I'm just standing very still.
Okay, all right. I thought everybody's frozen to me, and I was lost again. But anyway, so it just so happened, I mean, he was racing for Wood Brothers then when he won that race, and I'm following Josh Berry now, so I picked up a Josh Berry hat, so I got the 21 hat on. So I'm standing there with this ticket from his Daytona win. I've got a 21 hat on. I'm sure he's just assuming I was a big, Wood Brothers, fan or whatever, and that wasn't the case. But we sat there and we talked, and then finally, I don't know, even after we talked for a little bit, finally I was like, man, I don't normally do this. I don't ask for autographs. I said, but there's just no way. You're here. I've got this ticket. I've got to ask you to sign it. And he was like, absolutely. Well, did it.
Yeah.
Very gracious about it. And I tell people, I kind of feel like this might be the one time that, an autograph signing was beneficial to both parties. So, it's kind of, and there he is. I mean, you can see him right now. I mean, that man's 35 years old now, and he looks like he's the youngest one in this picture.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. He was really, really nice and kind, and we got to, I kind of geeked out a little bit. I normally don't. I'm sort of the type of person that says I don't want to bother anybody, but right. I couldn't help myself at that moment just because that particular Daytona 500, I believe I was up yelling, screaming at the screen. I wasn't a Trevor Bayne fan, but that was such a damn good story. Because I like scrappy people and them getting success, even if it's just for a brief moment. And I couldn't help but to tell him, like, dude, your name's on the damn Daytona 500 trophy forever. Like, how awesome is that? Because he said, I think he said something like he was bummed he still wasn't racing. I was like, dude, your name's on the fucking trophy, dude. Relax. like, dude, you have one of the best moments in history. You got one of the best sound bites in history. Like, dude, you're that's awesome. Like, it's really cool. So, that was awesome. Then we went down and Brandon Evans knew. I don't remember his name.
James. Well, I don't know how to say his last name. His first name was James. His last name is like Hook or something like it's Houck. I know I can spell it, but I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it. And he was he's the pit crew coach for Colleague Racing.
Yeah, and so he took us. I think we were in Ty Dillon's box. I do believe. Yeah. Yep. And man, he showed us everything. Gosh, I thought we'd be there for about 5 minutes. Everybody's walking by, we're standing inside the pit box basically. And he gave us the whole shebang about how this works, what he does, the outdoor TVs, how the tires. He broke down why there's tape on the tires. I mean, dude was super generous. I mean, that's why I love NASCAR, man. I love NASCAR because the people that are in it who really care about the sport. And, and one thing, they all ask the same question: is this your first time at a race? And I think that is an important question for people because they're looking for those people that are brand new and wanting to make sure their experience is best as possible. So I love that there's like this overall charge from people be like, hey, if this is their first time, you better make it memorable. And it seemed like they really had a desire to do that. So
you're saying we should start lying?
We should start. Maybe
start lying. Yes, I've never. Yes, how do you spell NASCAR?
Yeah. Is that your NASCARs right there? And point at the car. But no, it was cool, man. So many people offered graciously their time, and we got to stand in the infield for the intro to the race. We went up to our seats and watched probably one of the best races of the year so far. Just fantastic all the way around. So
got to sign the wall.
Yeah. Oh, I got a picture of that. Here, let me get that up.
Sign the wall. I would say the only thing I was disappointed about this weekend was, besides the food options, was that we didn't get an opportunity to get with Timothy Peters. He's a mechanic for JGR, and there's Pat with his ode to AJ there. Don't want to forget that. I know it burns him up, but I just wanted Pat to be a part of it. It sucks that he couldn't make the trip. Hopefully he's going to get to feeling better here soon, and but I wanted him to be a part of it. So.
Yeah, we also met ATYL Media's boss.
That's right.
Taylor Kitchens.
Yeah.
And she was nice enough to let us know that she was there. We kind of ran down before the final stage. Got to meet and talk with her for just a few minutes, so that was that was awesome. I mean, golly, this trip had everything. I'm sort of on the come down. They've been working hell out of me at work since we got back. That's what I get for having a day off for a holiday, and so it's been sort of a come down of, just at the height of all that, just a fantastic trip. And honestly, it was great to meet everybody. I feel like I was really able to get to know some people. There's some people that I've talked to a few times, but on that trip, got to sit and chat with them a little bit more, and yeah, it was just really awesome. I can't think of a bad thing about that trip other than the fact we had to leave.
Yeah, and the race was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
Let's be honest. The next gen can give you some snoozers. And I almost thought we were going to be going down that track when Larson went up there and took the lead as early as he did. But it sure didn't end the way it started. And you kind of wonder what would have happened if Hocefar's engine hadn't blown.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was bummed out to hear.
Yeah, so it was a fantastic race. I know it was not the Indy 500, but I've been to Daytona. I've been to Bristol multiple times. I've been to a lot of tracks. This was my first time at Charlotte, and this is probably one of my favorite experiences as a whole. I could sit there and say, well, there's better things at other places, but as far as the race went, the pre-race stuff, I mean, I already told Pat, maybe we should look at making the Coke 600, our annual thing. I don't know how doable, Indy would be year after year, because I mean that's definitely would be pricey and very difficult to bring a bunch of people to Indy like we did Charlotte. But it would not hurt my feelings at all if we just made Charlotte our annual outing, so to speak.
Well, it helps when the race is good. I've gone to Talladega many times in my life, and went to Talladega last year in April. And honestly, Talladega has always been that track that if I wanted to get somebody new into NASCAR, I'd send them to Talladega, but I wouldn't these days because the racing is just that bad.
Right.
It's a pretty terrible product. Yeah, they get those photos of 4 wide, 10 rows deep, but it's just not a great product right now. So Charlotte was a damn good race, and that I think that helps when the racing is that good that it kind of completes the whole package. And speaking of good racing, we got some good racing coming up.
Yeah, we do
soon. We're not gonna talk too much about this. We're gonna get everybody out of here, but man, excited for the summer series. I got my Dick Trickle shirt on, ready to go. Got my aviators on. Ready to roll for Tuesday night. But you got Monday night with the ARCA series. It's going to be kicking it off. All Goat Locker internal guys broadcasting it. A whole bunch of people are going to be racing it. It's going to be at Daytona. It's going to be a blast. Tuesday night, we got the Retro series that I cannot wait to watch that race. Wednesday night, I'm excited about the whole shebang because Wednesday night we got IndyCar, which I cannot wait to drive and race in. It's going to be at the Daytona Road Course and with Lincoln Tech, and then you got Glove Station on Monday nights. You got Cruising Classics on Tuesday nights, and then on Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, we'll have the InVets Truck Series. I do believe on Sunday nights. Those are your broadcast series, and then you've got the Thursday Night Thunder SRX. Is that what we're calling it, Daniel?
That's what we're calling it. We're going back to grassroots racing, short track, heat format racing. We're going with the SRX car. It's going to be pushy. It's going to plow a little bit, but I think we loosen up on some of that bias. We're going to have a great time. We're going to start things off at old school Daytona. It felt like a roller coaster and some test laps since I got back from Indy, but I think we're going to have a blast there. And then the following week, we're going right into Slinger.
Heck
I
yeah.
had
Well,
someone put Slinger in my mind, and oh man, that's been fun to test. And
yeah. Well, and then we got GT3s on Friday, I do believe, or Saturday. Yeah, it's on Friday.
Friday night.
Yeah. So, man, button up. It's going to be a fun series. We can't thank all of our partners that are on board with these series and everybody that's putting in the work to make this happen. Daniel, you're a big part of that, getting these things going. Jamie, it's going to be out, not going to be racing.
Yep.
Bummer, but yeah, I know he'll be here in spirit, and it's going to be a great season. 8 weeks of fury. And we thought we were going to take it easy, just have 2 or 3 series going. But the everybody in the Goat Locker said no, we want to have all this stuff. So we're going to be doing darn near 7 nights a week again. So
We've
can't
got
beat it.
90 drivers already locked in. I haven't even sent the invites out for the 2 newest that just come on board, including our newest rig recipient. But we've got 90 drivers already locked in. We've got another 15 or so invites that are still sitting there to be put in. And then I still have 20 or so that I haven't heard from that have raced with us in the spring and fall. Some of us, again, we don't have all the summer to be able to do, so we're not all be racing, but we've got 125 guys actively racing in Goat Locker across all the series, so we can't help but to be there. Again, we get Saturday nights off, but when I looked at it, I'm excited to be there for Sunday and Monday nights, and then we're bringing in that Thursday. We're doing that heat race, testing that out. I can't wait for the late models to come back for the fall. Hopefully, we can get enough interest to where we'll get it broadcasted. But this season, I was looking through the schedules that we posted up before we went live, and there's going to be a lot of great racing across every single series. And I can't wait, whether I'm driving or whether I'm watching. I can't wait to see. I'll take the Indy cars around Milwaukee, and go through there and go to places like Sebring, and again Thursday going to the Slinger. But
Yeah.
it's going to be a very fun summer, very hot summer for Goat Locker. And again, we keep growing, just like Pat, you and Jamie have all, say we're growing weekly. Almost every day we're getting 1 or 2 new people into the Discord channel, whether they're racing or supporting us. So it's all thanks to all our partners.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Going to be some brand new broadcasters out there doing some cool stuff. So be patient. I know everybody wants to jump on the Discord and type. Just be patient with them, and they're gonna get much better. And I think they're already really good. I think that there might be some hiccups here and there, but just be patient with them, and they'll be knocking out. Don't run my broadcasters off. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna get mad if you run off the people that have stepped up, do some good broadcasts. I'm gonna have something to say. So don't run them off. Be nice. If you got some criticism, send them to me. I'll make sure it gets to them. But yeah, don't run them off. I need these folks, and they have done me a big solid. So going to be a fun summer series. But that's all we got tonight. Just a little recap from the weekend.
No. I know you want to keep it short. We're going to keep it short, but we can't let me get out of here and y'all not do a goat of the week type segment. You may not have the graphic pulled up, and I don't want to throw you under there, but we can't do it without the goat of the week from there. But I want to say, one, you, Eddie, within our group, is definitely my goat of the week from within our group. I saw you had your team of broadcasters. Y'all were practicing last night, getting things worked out, for what we saw through the qualifying challenge a couple weeks ago. That was excellent. So thank you for doing everything that you do for Goat Locker, always talking all of us up. I know you're always mentioning me, and I appreciate it, but I'm here for everybody else. I have just as much fun doing the back office stuff as I do the driving. But I do have one other one I've got to mention that's not within Goat Locker. And I don't know if you have that graphic or the website for me, but I'd like to, I live in St. Louis. St. Louis this year has been hit by 2 massive tornadoes, both EF3 rating. One was less than a mile from my house here in North County in Hazelwood, Florissant. Man Meats that you see on here is ran by a family, Bob, Holly, and Miranda, their daughter. They are a local. They started as a food truck, and they have their brick and mortar store here in Florissant as well. And Bob does meat great, and we've got a lot of people that do some barbecue, but that's not why I want to mention them. Bob and Holly and Miranda and their whole team at Man Meats, they step up for the first responders in this community, as well as our veterans. They are constantly doing events for our local VFW here in town. And I want to kind of give them a shout out because they took damage a few months ago to their brick and mortar store during the Florissant tornadoes. They got that cleaned up and immediately started cooking for the first responders coming in, for the families and the houses that were hit and destroyed here in Florissant. But they did the exact same thing 2 weeks ago or 13 days ago. We're now 13 days from the EF3 tornado that tore through St. Louis. And, I've been a weather spotter for about 8 years now, 9 years now. And that's the first one that I've been able to actually call in. I was actually one of the first ones to call the confirmation of the tornado right before it hit downtown. They had some issues with the sirens. So unfortunately, we did have loss of life. We've lost many, many blocks of the city, a lot of old buildings. But Bob and his team was out there from the get-go. That night, we're still digging through, fellow first responders were still digging through the rubble, pulling people out of places. Bob has been there in St. Louis almost every night, if not every night, feeding these people day in, day out, without question. Pull up if you're doing work and cleaning up. If you're coming out of your house and it's torn up, he's got a hot meal there. And it's not only because of people in the community donating, but he does his own money as well. And they've been on a little harder times even before the tornadoes, in business had slowed down just with the economy. So what I would love for everybody to do, I don't ever like asking for anybody to donate for anything. They do not necessarily have a partnership with Goat Locker, but what I would like to happen is for Bob to come in tomorrow morning and see his receipt printer all over the floor with receipts. If you go to manmeats.com, that's man with 2 N's. You go to manmeats.com, you can go to their live menu. You can see what they have. They don't do shipping, so you won't be able to necessarily do that. But there is a link to where you can donate for first responder or community meals. And if you just do $5 for one meal, one sandwich, that goes a long way. And if we can get that spread throughout, I was there the day after the tornado trying to support, getting myself, they have excellent burger, everything Bob does is excellent tasting. They're right down the street from me. I was there in the 20 minutes that I was there that they were prepping the order. People were coming in. They were trying to figure out how to get the donations going. And I saw people dropping in. Some was just $1, some was $5. I saw $200, $300 orders coming in, and they were coming in just for a sandwich. They've been able to take this, and they've provided thousands of meals so far. And again, we're only 13 days in, and we still got weeks to go. National Guard has just gotten on site. We've just been able to get FEMA in this week trying to support the people here. So if everybody can, go to that site, prop them up, follow them on social media. They're across all social media. Just follow, give them a love, give them a like. I know only a few of us are here in the St. Louis area. I can't wait someday to meet I know Joseph McWhorter's down the road. Santa's right down the road in Illinois as well. But again, if we can support them just a little bit, that's going to go a long way here locally as well.
Love it. Love it. Well, I think that'll be our GOAT of the week for sure. So appreciate you sharing that, Daniel. All right. Well, Jamie, You got anything else?
Just make sure you get that second in there, because if you don't, that's a whole different website it's going to take you to.
Yeah. Don't go to that website.
yeah. Very dangerous Googling here, so be careful. Make sure your
Yes.
safe search is on. Well, thanks all to all our partners, SAVE22, ATYL Media. Of course, don't forget to go to happyhourracing.com if you want to get you some gear with them. Scan that QR code there. If you go to the website, make sure you have that /ATYL to let them know that you're on the way from ATYL Media. And so if you purchase something, definitely let them know that Taylor Kitchen sent you. So, all right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much. It was a lot of fun. Daniel, Jamie, thank y'all for showing up.
Thank you.
It was really
Absolutely.
awesome to hear y'all's recounts of the weekend. Seemed like it was a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. I know I did.
Yeah,
And
100%.
thanks again to Goat Locker for making all that stuff happen, all the partners and stuff, and everybody that makes this thing go around. Goat Locker is an empty shell without its community, and you guys make it what it is for sure. So thank y'all so much for watching. We will see y'all next week. Got Summer Series going to start up. Going to have a lot to talk about. Probably a lot of soapboxes as people have had the opportunity to jump in there and race in a while, and maybe some new folks get their feelings hurt. Who knows? But we'll see y'all next week. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all be good.